Greetings, beautiful souls, and welcome back. Today we are channeling that hot fire. Yes, the energy of the Enchantress. This is one of the 4 womb archetypes that we've been moving through. We've talked about the maiden, the mother, and now we're talking about the archetype that is all about stepping fully into your personal power. We're going to be talking about the importance of preserving your energy, setting healthy boundaries, and reclaiming the life you know deep down inside you truly deserve. She's the part of you that doesn't just dream of change, and listen to that fact that I said she's a part of you. This is something that's already within you, but she doesn't just dream about change, she commands it. Okay? But here's the thing, stepping into this kind of energy, it really requires a level of honesty that can be a little bit uncomfortable for some of us. It means taking inventory of your fears, being honest about the beliefs that hold you back. It takes your willingness to clear out the mind trash and to rewire the story that you tell yourself about yourself and your life. It's about shifting from being a passive participant, like being in the passenger seat of the car, versus being the main character in your own story. So if you're ready to tap into your inner enchantress, to reclaim your voice and protect your energy and start living the life you were meant for, this conversation is for you. So let's dive in. So let's start with personal power. What does personal power even mean? What does that mean to you? Because to me, personal power is knowing who you are and being unshakable in that truth. It's not about trying to control other people's narrative or control what they do or even manipulate outcomes, but it's about mastering yourself. And the first step to that mastery of yourself is self-awareness. So you have to be honest with yourself and ask yourself, where am I giving my power away? Is it in this relationship over here where I overextend myself? Is it situations where I don't speak my truth? I'm not speaking up for what I need, or just like I said, your truth. Or maybe it's in the way that you talk about yourself. Ask yourself, am I talking about myself in a healthy manner? Am I downplaying my gifts, or am I focusing on what I lack instead of what I have and what I have to be grateful for? And when you start to ask yourself these questions, it gets eye-opening. Like, you really start to come to different revelations about the own seeds that you plant. And you'll realize where you give your power away in so many subtle ways. When you say yes, when you want to say no, when you tolerate disrespect, no matter how covert it is, and you start to allow fear to drive your decisions. You're like, okay, I'm giving away my power in that way. And for me, awareness was the key to breaking that cycle. And I know that that can be for you as well. Because I'll be honest with you, there was a time when I didn't think I would ever be able to support myself, because I've dealt with chronic pain and illness for a huge part of my life, right? And living with endometriosis felt like carrying an invisible weight, one that no one could see but myself. And I was feeling it every single day. And it wasn't just the physical pain, it was the emotional and the mental, psychological toll that came with that. Also the financial toll. I couldn't keep a job. Because of the pain. And I was afraid to make future plans because I've had to cancel so many things. I've had to call out. I've missed concerts, like things that I was really looking forward to, or just really important moments, because I've had an endo flare. And I started to think to myself, this always happened. Like, that really became my mantra. Oh, this always happens. And the fear of not knowing how I would support myself, not knowing if I'd be able to show up, like, all of these things fell out of my control, and it was honestly paralyzing. Like, I just wanted to lay down. But I started to really believe the lies that my own mind was feeding me. And basically that I wasn't capable, that nobody would take me serious because of my limitations, and that no one would really understand. And I didn't trust myself to make plans. I thought, I can't even rely on my own body. I don't know. There was so much shame tied up around it. And it's not like I wanted pity. I didn't want pity at all. But I didn't want to be seen as weak either. And I ended up feeling really alone. I ended up feeling really unsupported and disconnected from the life that I wanted to create for myself. And what I learned from this experience is you can't step into your power until you clear out the mental clutter that is weighing you down. You can't step into your power until you clear out the mental clutter that is weighing you down. And I realized that if I wanted to reclaim my life, I had to rewrite my story, y'all. I had to rewrite the stories I was telling myself. I had to challenge the stories. When the things came up, I had to ask myself, is this true? Is this really true? Like, is it always true? And I started to change the way that I spoke about myself, the way I spoke to myself, the way I spoke about my body, my womb. I began thanking my body for all the things that it did for me on a daily to keep me alive without my conscious thought. I began to keep inventory of all the ways in which I showed up for myself, the ways in which I came, my plans went through. That wasn't my truth, that was always my reality. So I started to talk to myself, positively, and that ultimately resulted in a change in my relationship with my life. Not just myself, but with my life. And so another lesson that the Enchantress Archetype teaches you is also the power of boundaries. And there's so many layers to this. So let's talk about them. Let's talk about the boundaries. Boundaries are necessary. And you can't protect your energy without them. And healthy boundaries aren't just about keeping people out. They're about deciding what you will and won't allow in your space, in your mind, in your heart. They are a true act of self-preservation. And I used to think that boundaries were selfish. I thought that saying no to people would make them think I didn't care, that there was no use for me. And this made me a chronic people pleaser. But the Enchantress taught me that saying no to what drains you is saying yes to yourself. So it's not about being selfish. It's about being self-honoring. It's about asking yourself, what do I need in this moment? Is this going to make me resentful? I really started to honor myself and my inner voice. Like, do you hear the difference in that? Do you feel the shift from selfish to self-honoring? So if you're struggling with boundaries, ask yourself, what am I tolerating that I know I shouldn't be? What am I tolerating that I know I shouldn't be? What am I saying yes to that doesn't serve me? And more importantly, why? Because underneath the inability to set boundaries is often fear. Fear of rejection, fear of conflict, fear of being alone. But the truth is, everything that you say yes to that isn't in alignment with you requires you to say no to something better. So anytime you say yes to something that is misaligned with your energy, you are saying no to something greater. And let's be honest for a second. A lot of times people think boundaries are about other people. Let's get into it. Boundaries are about you. Boundaries are a clear line of what you will and will not tolerate. So it's about you. It's about you, it's about you, it's about you, and that is okay. And let me tell you something, you gotta have boundaries with yourself, because sometimes your own thoughts can be your saboteur. How you talk to yourself, what you think about yourself. Like I said in my recent story, are your fears controlling you? Sometimes we tolerate more from ourselves than we should. Sometimes we gotta get ourselves in check, okay? In order to reclaim the life that we really want for ourselves, and you have to really be honest about the role that you play in your own journey. And that really starts with fear inventory. That starts with the mindset checks. So let's go deeper. Let's go deeper into fear, because one thing that I've learned is that personal power cannot thrive where fear dominates. And fear shows up as the voice that says, you're not good enough. You can't do this. Who do you think you are? Does this sound familiar? Does this sound familiar? And here's what I want you to do. If this sounds familiar, take an honest inventory of your fears. Write them down, every single last one of them. Every doubt, every limiting belief, every nagging thought that's keeping you small. This isn't about judging yourself. This is about getting clear of what's been taking up space in your mind so that you can release it. This is about setting those boundaries. Those thoughts can no longer live here. Those thoughts can no longer thrive in your body. And what I would say is, for me personally, one of my biggest fears was, like I said, my inability to care for myself because of the chronic illness. You know, I would tell myself, what if I couldn't keep a job? I was letting my fear of not being enough hold me hostage. I wasn't giving myself a chance to create the life that I deserved. And I deserved more than living in fear. And so do you. So do this exercise, okay? Try it out. Just try. And once you've written down all of the fears, I want you to look at them. And I want you to ask yourself, are these thoughts even true? And most of the time, they're not. Most of our what feel like rational fears are not. Because on the other side of that, there's always a glass half full. They're just stories that you've picked up along your way, stories that someone else put upon you to believe, and they're stories that we can rewrite. All right, so as we talk about rewriting, let's talk about the words you use when you speak about yourself. Because words they're powerful. They're spells. Every time you start talking crazy about your life, you are casting the spell upon yourself. And you continue to cast that spell upon yourself every day. What kind of magic are you creating? What type of outcomes do we expect? How often do you say things like, oh, when someone asks you how you doing, oh, I'm making it. Oh, I just have so much going on. I ain't got no money. I'm just so tired. You might think you being honest, but those words are shaping your reality because your cells are listening, honey. They're like, oh, she ain't got no money. We can't give her no money because that's gonna disrupt her story of not having money. The Enchantress knows this, so she speaks with intentionality and she speaks life over herself and over those who are around her. So here's the challenge. Start to pay attention to that self-talk. When you catch yourself saying something negative, stop and reframe it. Instead of saying, I'm not good at this, say, I'm learning something new. I'm getting better every day. Instead of saying, I'll never have enough, try abundance is finding its way to me. I'm broke. Oh, abundance is finding its way to me. Do you hear how playful that sounds? It's small changes like that can create massive impact in your life. And this isn't about no toxic positivity. This is about consciously choosing words that align with the life that you want to create for yourself. And you can feel the frequency of a sentence before you hear the words. And the question to ask yourself is, oh, hold up. Is this a disempowering sentence? It's okay to take a minute before you speak. Please think before you speak. Is this a disempowering sentence? And if it's disempowering, like, what business do I have talking to myself like this or talking about myself like this? Consciously disempowering myself. So when you speak with intentionality, you step into your power. Okay? You step into your power. So, as you reclaim the life that you deserve, what does it look like to reclaim your life? Because for me, this looks like deciding right here, right now, that you're worthy of more. More joy. You're worthy of more peace. You're worthy of more love. You're deserving of more money. You're deserving of great health. And then you start to take the steps to align with that decision because you already know that it's yours to have. The enchantress within you is bold, baby. She doesn't wait for permission or validation for anyone to tell her that she's worthy of a thing. She gonna create her own opportunities. She gonna set her own standards. She gonna surround herself around people and places and experiences that reflect those standards. But reclaiming that life of yours that you truly deserve, past desire, deserve, is also about letting go of what no longer serves you. So just to reiterate, clearing out the mind trash, readdressing the fears, setting those boundaries with yourself and with others, and saying no to things that drain you so that you can say yes to the things that fill you up. It's about trusting yourself. And even when it's scary, even when it feels like the ground is shifting beneath you, here is what I want you to remember. You, my dear, you have the power to rewrite your own story. You have the power to reclaim your voice. You have the power to step into the version of yourself who knows she's worthy of it all. Not this or that, this and that. And it starts with those small intentional steps. So my question for you is, what step can you take today to channel your inner enchantress? Maybe it is setting a boundary. Maybe it is clearing out a limiting belief. Or maybe it's just speaking more kindly to yourself. Maybe it's looking in the mirror and saying, baby, you matter. Baby, you worthy. You so deserving of it all. But whatever it is, start small. You can start small, but just start. Because literally every step that you take brings you closer to the life that you deserve. And if this message resonates with you, let me know in the comments. What's the one way you're reclaiming your power today? And if you want to go deeper, make sure you click the link below to learn more about the Embodied Bellydance online program, where we cover all of this. You're probably thinking, well, it's just a belly dance course. Like, what type of belly dance course is this? It's literally one like you've never seen before, okay? It's more like a life initiation through the art of belly dance. So if you want more information on that, make sure you click the link below. And if you are loving the series, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share this with someone who could receive this message. You are powerful, you are worthy, you deserve it all. And you deserve a life that is just as magical as you are. So until next time, stay enchanted.